should we be worried that we're on some kind of watch list if we have a different viewpoint than the current administration? That's kind of what's happening. And I know we hear those stories, but today let's talk about some of the things that really have been shown and has been kind of brought to the surface with the FBI, and how they may be watching you, watching me, and really, is that helping freedom or harming freedom? Are we part of a true free sovereign nation or not? Let's talk about some of the things that the FBI is doing and how it is affecting you and how it will affect you over the coming weeks, months, and years. Today's video is going to be a good one. It starts right now. What is going on? Welcome to the Max. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new to our channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, because we want to bring you not only our farm and sustainable living and prepping videos, we want to talk about current events that's going on. Hey, look at the shirt I've got on. It's the Freedom Line shirts that we have just put out through our bonfire link down below. Check those out if you're needing to get something special for someone for fall or for Christmas or Halloween. I don't care. Just go look at the merchandise because it's pretty cool stuff and it's comfortable shirts. So I like this one. It says freedom, talks about having America hopefully being a true free nation again. I feel like we've kind of getting that taken away from us lately. So today's video is going to be a little bit about that. We're going to talk about some of the things that the FBI has done and is doing that we should be made aware of as Americans. Now here's the problem. A lot of times we hear this stuff and we're like, oh, that's stupid, that's not happening, or if it's happening, we can't do anything about it. We better start trying to do things about it, or we're gonna lose our freedom and our sovereign nation that we do have here in America. So let's talk about some of the things that we should keep an eye on with the FBI and with our leadership, because slowly but surely we're seeing our freedoms getting taken away. So let's jump right into it. All of a sudden we see Jim Jordan and Chuck Grassley, a senator and a representative, both saying they've got whistleblowers that are coming to them and telling them of some of the shady things that the FBI is doing. Now the kicker is, what are those shady things, and should we be aware of those? Or should someone in power who has some sense and commonality of freedom and liberty to really see that some of the things that the FBI is doing is wrong? Now we've heard that, we have seen that. It's actually been something that's going on for years, but why are we not doing anything about it? Even our elected officials that's supposed to be representing us, why are we not doing more about it? So Jim Jordan came out and said that the FBI is going after conservatives. So we saw a few weeks ago how they released, and I think it was kind of a by a whistleblower, that people who were always wearing things like this, or things like the Betsy Ross flag or the Second Amendment freedoms, and we see that those kind of things were becoming labeled as a domestic terrorist. Now I love my country. I love wearing freedom. I love shooting firearms. We're fixing to go do some practice shooting in just a few moments because we've had a hard day of work on the farm and it's just fun therapy to be able to enjoy that freedom of firearms. But if that makes me the bad guy, then who actually is watching over the bad guys? Who is actually, what are we doing about the true bad people that are trying to harm us? And all we're trying to do is just raise a family with values and morals and freedom and understanding liberty, and all we want is a sovereign nation. And quit taxing us. That's all we want. If FBI is looking at people like us, then the people who really want to do us damage, they're just, I mean, what's happening? I think about our borders, how they are being overrun, not with just illegal immigrants. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the drugs, the gang violence. Our cities are falling to pieces, and the FBI and the government are worried about people like me, are worried about people who are considered conservatives, who just wants to see freedom and liberty. Now that's a little crazy. Now if you're a nut and you're fascist and you're crazy, then you probably should have the eyes on you by the FBI. I have no problem with that. Mostly what we're hearing is they are looking at people who just are what we consider libertarians and conservatives who did not vote for maybe the party in charge. Would that make us a bad person? It's amazing how we talked about this in a video a few weeks back, we're so polarized. And it's like when a party's in leadership, for some reason, no matter what party was in leadership, the FBI, the CIA, the courts, those things tended to be, you may have a leaning judge or a leaning person here and there, but ultimately we all kind of say, okay, well, it went to a court of law, we trust it. Or the FBI is investigating, we trust it. Or the CIA says this is a bad guy, we trust it. Well, now we're so polarized that we can't trust anybody. So a story has came out that Biden is trying to make the FBI push up or bring charges a supremacy or a fascist or a racist mentality. I'm not saying that white supremacy or racism is not happening, but I'm saying if our leadership is trying to drum up charges on certain people to keep us polarized, that's all it's doing. It's keeping the manipulation going and keeping the story, and the media is pushing the story and the narrative that everybody hates everybody. When we have a fighting and an implosion happening in our nation, it allows the government again to step in and be, the saving grace, the city on a hill. Well, that's not exactly what it was supposed to be. We're supposed to be a sovereign nation. Even though we may not get along with everything, our goal was to always work together. Well, we're more, I would say, more split than we've ever been. And it's not because the people of America. I honestly believe it's because of the manipulation of the media and the government. No matter what party line you're on, you cannot not agree with that comment that we believe that we've been manipulated, and the thoughts of racism or white supremacy or fascism or socialism or what all these terms are. We are more polarized around those things, and we've learned to hate each other instead of trying to work through what we disagree on and then come to agreement on certain things so we can have a better nation and we can grow and take a step forward in freedoms. But we're not doing that. We're just more polarized. We see the current administration literally is pushing that. Now those are off news sources. It's all over the news, true news, saying that Biden is trying to drum up some of those charges for the FBI to research and go out there and get these people. Okay, now let's talk about the Trump raids. I don't know your feelings on the Trump raids, and I really don't care. This is not a Trump ploy or anything. But now we're seeing that the FBI informant for some of the Trump issues that they're trying to get the former president on, their informant was a Russian businessman who had ties to the Kremlin. Okay, wait. So you're telling me that we investigated this former president for years on being tied to Russia, and now we're seeing that the informants for the FBI were actually Russian, tied to the Kremlin. So actually, it's not the former president that was tied to it. It may have been our own government trying to drum up charges against someone that they didn't like, and ultimately their inside or informant or person that's trying to tell them this story and giving them this lead or this propaganda is from Russia. Oh my gosh. So that doesn't make sense to me. So then we hear that Senator Grassley, some people have come before him, some whistleblowers, some FBI whistleblowers, which, hey, I commend you guys. Some of you guys are doing phenomenal jobs, but your leadership may not be. But it says that Senator Grassley is working on finding out who was the FBI agents who buried the laptop stories that we've heard so much about, that all of a sudden are true, that nobody wants to talk about. We're literally paying tax dollars for our FBI to go to Hardee's and bust the MyPillow guy, instead of worrying about the drugs and the gang violence in all the cities and this coming across the border. We have a fentanyl epidemic happening across our nation, and we're worried about the MyPillow guy because they wanted his cell phone? Come on. So the FBI is worried about the MyPillow guy, while all of a sudden people are dying literally to fentanyl overdoses all the time. And guess where that fentanyl is coming from? China, through the Mexican border, and it's shot up. But I spoke to a state official who is in Mississippi who works for our local Bureau of Narcotics. And his words were, you would be surprised how many people we're busting with fentanyl and with drugs that have been made in Mexico from China. And it's only because our borders are not closed that we're seeing an influx of that. We're seeing a higher influx of drugs because our border is open. Now, he wasn't talking political. He was just saying, he was stating the facts. He said the reason that our cities are overrun with drugs is because we have a problem that we're not closing up. Well, we have our FBI worried about the My Pillow guy and worried about, you know, me who likes to shoot a firearm or wear a shirt that says the Second Amendment or Betsy Ross flag on it. And they're worried about people like us when really they should be worried about the gangs or about the drugs that are crossing our borders. Another kind of shocking thing, did you see, it was on Breitbart News, that FBI sent out an effort to secure a forfeiture of the Second Amendment rights. They sent this to several people. It was kind of like a document that they were trying to get a little information about maybe what you have bought, what you believe in gun rights, and are you disclosing some of the things on this form, such as asking you questions about your health, asking questions about your mental capacity, asking questions about your guns. Is that any right for the government? If the government has these protocols in place for when you purchase a firearm, why do we take this second step to where we're almost confiscating weapons, or we're trying to find more information about the person that's buying it? So if you want to pass laws about gun rights and you want to make it tougher to buy guns, I think that's stupid. I don't think that's any right of the government. But if you do, then you need to have that on the front end. Don't try to do something secretive like what this was doing. The whole point of these FOIA requests and the whole point of these whistleblowers is it allows this information of all this corruption and nefarious business going on behind closed doors that shouldn't be going on. There's a commentator that said there's no way to fix the FBI or CIA or some of the other organizations that are so indoctrinated with the way they think and maybe politics that they were supposed to not have in the office that they're carrying. It would take a clean house situation. Well, no one has done that. No one's going to do that. And the scary thing is we see these politicians and these senators and representatives who may have a good thought pattern. Say, okay, we're going to come to the answer here. We're going to get this guy fired, or we're going to bring him up in front of the Senate and have a Senate hearing. Well, nothing ever happens. Do you realize that? We have these Senate hearings and these representative hearings and these committee hearings, and look, kudos to you. You make a fool of this guy maybe, but nothing truly happens, so nothing changes. So all these policies of the FBI being a little bit nefarious and maybe getting information from people who are just conservatives, or we're seeing a cover-up of this current administration, some of their nefarious ways. I honestly believe that no one can get in leadership now unless you are crooked. I'm sorry, I'm just being honest. As a libertarian, I believe that it goes so high up we can't even control it anymore. But bottom line is, the problems that we're seeing from the FBI, they're not looking for the real bad players, it seems like, anymore. Or they're looking to be an enforcement for the deep state or for the current administration. The things that really could cause an issue, because ultimately if we are wanting to have a sovereign nation and we're wanting to have the freedoms for me to say whatever I want to say on a platform, I actually agree that the person who's on the other side should be able to say the same things too. They should have their own opinion and be able to say that. I think that's what our freedoms are through the Constitution and what we've had in America for so long. Sometimes when we have those different views, it's amazing when we listen to each other, we can build a wisdom and build a way forward. We may disagree on this, but ultimately we can agree on this, and that's what helps America stay afloat and do well. However, it seems like we've been so manipulated that now nobody likes anybody, nobody trusts anybody, and half the nation hates this part and half the nation hates this part, no matter who's in leadership. And that goes down to our three-letter organizations such as the FBI, CIA, or ATF, or whomever. We've seen these stories where these unelected officials are passing all these policies and these laws, and we're seeing all these things happen, and we didn't vote for those things. It's amazing how big our government has gotten, and now it's almost like the FBI is used against people like me and you. So now to wrap it all up, we see that Facebook was spying, and they were sending private information, private messages, direct messages of people who were not terrorists, they were not bad. They were just saying they may not agreed with what was going on in the current administration. And so that was filtering back to the FBI. Don't we think that's a little shady? So all the things that we've talked about are just shady dealings And the question is, because of those shady dealings, because we see the My Pillow guy getting busted at Hardee's, and we hear about there was a congressman a few days ago that got his phone taken while he was on vacation. That's crazy. And what's to say they're not looking at us? And all the while they're looking at us, we have drug issues, gang issues, violence happening, crimes happening, human trafficking. All that's gotten so much worse. And I'm not saying it's the current administration's fault. This problem has been going on for years. But what I am saying, if we don't come to a solution and we just play through the 40-yard lines in politics and we just get these certain things passed and we don't really get to the heart and the root of the issue, and we keep having these committee meetings where we bring this guy ahead and we're saying, hey, you're a failure, you need to be fired, but then we never really do anything. He still gets his retirement. We don't ever put him in jail. Then what's to say that it's ever going to get better? I like wearing shirts that say freedom. I'm going to shoot a firearm in just a second because we enjoy it. It's fun. I like growing my own food. I like having a garden without having to report it to the USDA. Where have we gone when we're losing these freedoms and no one's doing anything about it? I'm hoping that we'll have some politicians soon. And I hate to say politicians. I hope that we will have some elected officials soon who will grow a backbone and actually stand up for the people. We the people. That they'll do more than just talk, they'll actually do it. So that's what I'm hoping for. The nation is not, some people will comment and they'll dog me out for this, but the nation is not too far gone. But it will take a great change. And it won't take a reset, but it'll take a revival, or it will take someone who has got the gumption and the backbone to say, I'm done. We're not doing this anymore. I'm finna fire all y'all that need to be out of here. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Just a little rant today, but I think that we need to be looking at what's happening and who they're actually looking at, and quit worrying about us and start doing their job that they were supposed to be doing this whole time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave me a comment below what you think. If I'm wrong, if I'm right, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Tell me what you think about this video, and what do you see? Don't give me the spin of what MSNBC or even Fox News says. I want to know what your thoughts are and how you think we can make it better. And ultimately, hopefully there will be a solution to all this, and we can be a free nation like we were supposed to be, the city on hill that we should have been, and we fall back on our morals and values like we should. Because right now we're in a topsy-turvy world, and I don't know if our leadership even knows which way is up. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, true hope is found in Jesus and Jesus only. And ultimately, we need to rely back on Him. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Happy homesteading, y'all.